So ignore the candidates for now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and get started with this, our 31st Candidates Night. So I want to thank you all so much for being here today. On behalf of the Seattle Southside Chamber of Commerce Board, Government Affairs Committee, and our staff, it is an honor to welcome you here tonight. Thank you to our sponsors, the Boeing Company, Louise Strander, Baker Commodities, Skin Perfect, U-Haul, South King Media, and Crane Photography. And of course, our host, the Doubletrees. South Center, please don't forget to tip your bartender. Our chamber is a nonprofit business organization that has served the communities of Burien, Des Moines, Normandy Park, SeaTac, and Tukwila since 1988. We focus on business advancement and creating opportunity in South King County because we know that economic equity and development doesn't just happen. We all need to work together to raise our tide, and we're proud to do that every day. We were founded on the belief that we are better and stronger together, and it is in that same spirit of collaboration that I welcome you here tonight, and that I do want to lay a few ground rules before we get started. First, the Chamber is a nonpartisan organization. All of the questions that were submitted that the candidates will be asked tonight were submitted by our members. They will be drawn at random for rapid fire, yes, no, answers from the candidates. They will first be able to introduce themselves, the position that they're running for, and choose an icebreaker question drawn at random. They will have 1 minute to answer that icebreaker question. Please do limit your response to 1 minute. Renata will be in the back, and she will have a sign held up for the candidates so that you know when you are coming close to your end of time. And then I will ring the bell if you do not obey the sign. So again, we really value our elected officials. We value service so much as a nonprofit service organization. If you could please just stand if you are an elected official so that you can be recognized and we can thank you for your service at this time. And next, if we could have all of the candidates running also stand. It takes tremendous courage to run for public office, and we applaud you. So please respect their courage, respect our spirit of collaboration and kindness. No loud noises, no disruption or disrespectful behavior at any time will be tolerated. And you may be asked to leave if you are being disruptive or disrespectful. So again, without further ado, what do you say we start tonight? Yeah? So please, Burien City Council candidates, join me on the stage. Welcome, Burien City Council candidates. I am going to go ahead and probably give you the microphone first here, Sydney. And then remember, introduce yourself, the position you're running for, and choose an icebreaker question.
Okay. Okay. Well, my name is Sydney Moore. I am running for Burien City Council Position 2. And my question is, if I were trapped on a deserted island and could only bring one item, what would I bring? A satellite phone so I could call for help.
Perfect. Perfect. And we'll just mix them back up again. In the bowl. Thank you.
I'm Sophia Aragon. I'm running for Burien City Council Position 6. And my question is, if you had your own talk show, who would your first guest be? Wow. I think my first guest would be Oprah Winfrey, because I just need to launch one question and then she can carry the show by herself.
And we're gonna put it back in. Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up.
Hi everybody, I'm Kevin Schilling. I'm running for Burien City Council position 4. My question is, what is your theme song? This is such a hard question. I've been listening to a lot of Lizzo lately, so I'm going to say Juice by Lizzo right now.
Joel Manning, Burien City Council Position 2. And my question is, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? That's easy, all the flavors. Actually, if I was to answer one flavor, it would be mint chocolate chip.
They go back in. Or you, okay.
Hi, I'm Debbie Wagner. I'm running for Burien City Council, position number 6. And my question is, if I were trapped on a deserted island and could only bring one item with me, what would I bring? And if it's a nice tropical island, I'll bring my husband and stay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. How about a round of applause? So again, that's just kind of a fun way that we can get to know the candidates a little better as people. And again, thank you so much for participating. So now everybody get their paddles ready because now I get to start picking the questions and we're going to do our rapid fire round. So we do have time for probably about 3 to 5 rapid fire questions. Remember that we do reserve the right, if we want to, that we can drill down. If we do drill down, that means that everyone will have 30 seconds, to respond, right? Okay, perfect. Glasses here, yes. First question. Does your city currently have public parks that could support or accommodate camping or overnight parking? If so, do you support the ability to do so without a permit? Perfect, thank you. Next question. Do you support funding for healthcare and mental health to help keep our communities healthy and safe? And next question. Do you support raising taxes and fees to help raise money to support more police and other public safety services? Perfect. Okay, so we've got a couple maybes and then some yeses. So I am going to drill down on this one for just 30 seconds. Starting with the people that said maybe, which I think was Kevin and Sydney. So Sydney, if you want to go first, 30 seconds just to tell us a little bit more about why that's maybe and not a hard yes and a hard no.
I believe we need, is that on? I believe we need to be really mindful about raising taxes. So when we do have a significant need to fund more services like a police or other health services, etc., I think that we can raise taxes, but we do need to be careful about it, so I won't give a blanket yes on that statement.
Perfect.
I'd say that if the operations of the local government city go according to plan, we'd attract more people and more business to the city to operate more effectively and have a greater amount of activity in our city where we don't have to raise taxes. We would just collect more revenue via more homeowners and more activity in the city itself. But public safety is my #1 priority, and it should be the #1 priority of every city government expenditure in terms of making sure our families are safe, our children are safe, and everyone have the ability to be protected in the city they live in.
Perfect. All right. Everybody gets 30 seconds.
So I'm a maybe as well, and in terms of taxes and fees, there are differences between the two. Any revenue that the city raises needs to go to priorities that our citizens tell us need to happen. When it comes to fees, it needs to be really closely related to what that fee was designated for. But it all goes to priorities, and as city council members, we need to be really accountable and be really good stewards of those funds.
Perfect, great. Pass the mic to Joel. Thank you.
Well, I assumed it was given that we were going to be
It's on, you just have to kind of.
responsible
yeah.
with the choices in terms of more tax for police services. But eventually, as your city grows, you are going to need more police. Obviously, you want to use that money wisely, but you are eventually going to need to spend more money on police.
In talking with community members and knowing what city service has said over the past, that it's a #1 priority for people living in Burien, for the public safety and emergency services that we do fund with our tax dollars that we collect in Burien. I've heard many times that if there were to be any tax increases, that people would support an increase in taxes for these types of services. It's the only one that I would actually be in favor of increasing taxes for, because it's the only one I've ever heard that the citizens of Burien would support overwhelmingly.
Perfect. All right, that's perfect time. All right, I will take that microphone back. Thank you so much. And I think we have time for 2 more rapid fire here, so mixing them up in the bowl. Do you think our local economy has improved over the last 2 years? Perfect. And final question. The current state minimum wage is $12 an hour. Do you support a higher minimum wage in your city? Perfect. All right, so we've got another couple maybes here, 30 more seconds just to answer why that's a maybe. Everybody gets 30 seconds to say why their answer was yes or no or maybe, and I'm looking at you, Kevin, if you don't mind being the one to start. Thank you.
Well, the statewide minimum wage is already increasing, and I support statewide and regional minimum wage increases because it's important. But the wage is already increasing. I don't think there's any need to jump in front of that as it's already going up.
I would say no, not for Burien, not for a local city on its own, because the economics, it can't pencil out. If you raise your rate up alone, you're driving businesses out to your neighboring cities. In a tiny city like ours, you don't have to go too far to get away from a high minimum wage. Look at Roxbury in White Center. You come to one side of it, booming business, all kinds of action going on. You cross the street where they have the Seattle minimum wage. It's not the same.
So there was a study done on the Seattle minimum wage that found that it drove employers out, it cut hours, cut wages, or cut income for people because of the lower amount of hours, and it cuts staff. So the people that are left, they may be making a little more, but they're working a lot harder for their money. This really has a detrimental effect on service industry jobs. And a good study by the UW found that the rising minimum wage in Seattle had these very negative effects on the workforce. I support robust economic development that brings high-paying jobs to the city, much higher than $15 an hour.
All right.
The city of Burien is a majority small business city, so we definitely have to be sensitive because we want that economy to grow. Looking at the minimum wage is only one strategy in this big picture of what's affordability. And that is what attracts people to Burien. That's why my family's there, because we have affordable housing, right? And in talking to people who are also sensitive to business and economics, they seem to want the same thing as our residents. They want good schools, they want safe streets, they want to be able to have recreation and good places to just enjoy life. So I think it's just one factor to use in the big picture of affordability.
Thank you.
I support a livable wage for the city of Burien. Currently, $16 an hour is what's considered the bare minimum for a single individual supporting just themselves. That's based on the MIT Living Wage Calculator. There are several studies done that show the benefits of increasing wages to be a livable standard, including productivity rises, better profits for local businesses because the economy is booming, more people have more money in their pockets to put into it. Not to mention the fact that we are losing workers to our fellow cities surrounding us because they're paying more than we are. So.
All right, great. Thank you all so much. Big round of applause for your Burien City Council candidates. All right, I'm going to hand the microphone, I think, to you first, Rob, and ask you to choose an icebreaker question. I'm going to try to mix them up here.
My name is Rob Back, candidate for Des Moines City Council position number 6, and I'm running for re-election. Theme song. Well, I've been doing a lot of doorbelling lately, and so my theme song would be by Paul McCartney on the Let It Be album, side number 2. I believe it's the 3rd song on side number 2. Paul McCartney sung this song, and you all know it. The long and winding road led me to your door. And then I hand them a literature and ask them for their vote.
I'm Louisa Banks. I am running for re-election, and I'm on position number 2. My icebreaker question. Oh, God. If you had your own talk show, who would be your first guest? Michelle Obama. Yeah. And there's no reason to even tell you why.
Hi, I'm Susan White, and I am running for position number 4. I served on the city council from 2001 to 2009, so not really running for re-election, but running again. What is your theme song? So I am a big fan of Alicia Keys, and I was just listening to a song called Superwoman. I'm certainly not saying I fit that complete role, but women in so many ways do so many different roles, so I have to say that's it.
Next.
Hi, my name is J.C. Harris, and I am running for Des Moines City Council position number 2. If you had your own talk show, who would your first guest be? As long as we're not talking about living people, I would say Mr. Rogers.
Hi there, I'm Jeremy Nutting. I am Des Moines City Council member, and I'm running for re-election for position number 4, and I'm the chair of the Economic Development Committee. What is your favorite children's story? And I'd have to say The Giving Tree. No explanation.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. All right, thank you again so much, Des Moines City Council candidates. Now, going into our rapid fire questions. Everybody have their paddles ready. Perfect. And just another quick note. So we realize that some of these rapid fire questions are really tough questions to answer, yes or no. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have so much time at the end of the evening, so that you can ask your candidates the more in-depth follow-up questions yourself. So we realize that this is tough. And so again, we thank you all, so much for being here, begging our indulgence just to get a sense of, what your policy positions are. So again, thank you. So with that caveat, your first yes or no rapid fire question is, if fully funded, do you support safe injection sites as a model to help combat the opioid crisis in our region? Next question. Do you support raising taxes and fees to help make up for budget deficits? Perfect. All right. So we have one person, JC, who was yes. And so I'm going to ask you to drill down 30 seconds, just give a little explanation of why. And then everyone else will have 30 seconds to outline their answer too. So I'm going to give you the mic. We've got 30 seconds on the clock, starting now.
You have to run a balanced budget. If you find yourself in deficit, you have to fix it and then end whatever tax or fees were required to make up that deficit. But what really harmed Des Moines for a long, long time was putting off until tomorrow expenses that were needed today. And it was to the long-term detriment of the city's recovery.
Time, perfect. Whoever wants to go next.
Well, my theory is if a city really can't manage to balance their budget, and Des Moines was in this crisis near bankruptcy, I'm not sure red light cameras and paid parking is the sustainability thing that can really work. So, you know, I've said this before, and I think at some point maybe combining resources, combining services, or even combining cities is an alternative.
Oh, we're at time. Okay, perfect.
That's a really good question. I would say that based on what I've just heard, and having been on the council now for 5 years, that we have, of course, I don't agree with raising taxes and fees. I believe that there's a responsible allocation of public resources that we have to really look at. And so when we take a look at that, we've looked at our city and we've come out of that near bankruptcy. And we've done it sustainably. We certainly aren't using paid parking or red light running cameras. What we're doing is we've diversified.
Perfect, thank you.
As one of 7 people that oversees our budget and establishes our budget every year, we need to work with what we got and do not put it on the backs of the taxpayers if we have a shortfall. We have to take ownership of that. It's up to us to listen to the community where we are going to allocate that money every year. If there is a shortfall, we deal with it. Sometimes we have to do more with less, but I would never put that on the backs of the taxpayer to make up for a budget shortfall that I may very well be responsible for.
Perfect. And thank you.
So that's a great question. Being part of the council for the last 6 years and pulling us out of a $2.5 million budget deficit and balancing it and putting money into reserves, we've done the hard stuff. We've not balanced it on the back of our constituents and our residents. We've all had skin in the game and took cuts and looked inward to see where we can make cuts.
Perfect.
To balance the budget.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. A couple more rapid fires here. Let's see. Do you support Housing First as a model to help combat the housing crisis in our region? And last one here. Do you think zoning code should be flexible? All right, perfect. Thank you, Des Moines City Council candidates. Appreciate it. All right, so remember, introduce yourself, the position that you're running for, and then choose an icebreaker. And I'm going to pass you the microphone first.
I'm Kathleen Waters, running for position number 7. If you had your own talk show, who would your first guest be? I'm going to say Pope Francis.
Mixing them up, mixing them up.
I'm Kathy Sherry, running for position 5. If you were trapped on a deserted island and could only bring one item, what would you bring? I'd have to agree with the first panelist and say the satellite phone.
I am Jonathan Chiquette. I am running for position 3, City Council, Normandy Park. Now, if you had your own talk show, who would your first guest be? And because there was no caveat on them being alive or dead, I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln.
I'm Sean McAvoy, running for council position number 3 for re-election. My question is, if you were a superhero, what superhero would you be? If you were a superhero, what superhero would you be? I'm going with Superman.
Perfect.
My name is Ernest Thompson, running for position 1, Normandy Park. And it's the question about the talk show. What is the purpose of a talk show? The purpose is to make money. So who is the most controversial person I could possibly think of? I think we know the answer. So if you want to make money, you pick Donald.
I'm Sue Ann Hoheimer, and I'm running for position 7 in Normandy Park. And my question is, what is your theme song? I was thinking like the good, the bad, and the ugly, because politics, you get it all, and I'm not afraid of any of it. But I think I like the song Celebration. If I had to do a theme song, I'd do Cool in the Gang and keep things positive and celebratory in this life that has so much craziness going on.
Hi, I'm Michelle Sykes-Marvin, running for position 5, Normandy Park City Council. This is the first time this one's been said.
It's fate.
No. If you were trapped in a sitcom, what sitcom would it be? It would be Parks and Recreation. Oh man, and I just fit in that sitcom. It's about me. It's so about me.
All right. Thank you so much. See, we're learning so much about our candidates with this new format. Perfect. All right. Everybody ready for the rapid fire? Everybody have their paddles ready? Yes or no? Again, understanding it's a little complicated. We are making it simple. We're trying to make it simple tonight because we only have an hour to go through this. Perfect. Okay, first rapid fire question. Do you think economic development is important to the future of our region?
We're starting early. Lawless anticipation here.
Do you support raising taxes and fees to help raise money to support more police and other public safety services? All right, we had a couple maybes, and so I'm going to start with the maybes, and then everybody again, 30 seconds. Who wants to go first? Perfect. All right, thank you. And we're ready with the clock. Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Taxes are a two-way street. They're a two-way sword. In Normandy Park, 21% of the people are over 65. You raise their taxes, and you threaten making them homeless or forced to move. Another large portion of the population of Normandy Park is over 50. They're very concerned about taxes. So if you're going to raise taxes, it better be for a very good reason, because there are serious consequences either way. I would like to see more tax money come back from the state and the federal government, so we're not put in this position.
All right, one time. Next, whoever. Oh, perfect.
I would echo that sentiment and just add that if there were something in our city that we would be willing to support with extra monies, it would definitely be our police department, and our public safety is just a very highly valued, our most valued thing in Normandy Park, and so we would do what we have to. But again, I'm all for fiscal responsibility and not getting ourselves in that situation.
I said yes, and at the point where we're at right now in Normandy Park, we are at the point that we do have to have a levy that is a tax to offset the cost of our officers. When I came on, we had just failed a levy, and we had to go down in the number of officers. We've since passed that levy, and we're now we are back to our full count of officers, and we have an incredible department. Hopefully, in the future, we'll no longer have to have that levy, so it is kind of a maybe, but right now, we have to have that tax. As we move forward with our economic development, and we're looking to bring more money into the city, whether it be state taxes and our economic development, then we will hopefully.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Time. She's got the time holding it. All right, sorry. All right, perfect. Thanks. All right, pass it. Thank you.
Right, the city of Normandy Park really values its police protection. The last levy lid lift, we asked people to vote for taxes. They taxed themselves, and they supported the taxes because of the police force, primarily because of the police force. It's an important aspect of living in Normandy Park. They don't mind paying a little more taxes if they have something quality to show for it.
Raising taxes for quality of life improvements or safety is not really a question when it's put to the public and they choose to do it positively and wholeheartedly. Police forces, like in a city, Normandy Park, for instance, small. It's a community where the police actually know the people. It's our own police force, and having them is something that a lot of other communities don't have. Our tax comes from a levy, and we raise it every 6 years, and we do that through a vote through the public. They choose whether or not we get to raise that tax.
I say yes.
Perfect. You have 30 seconds if you want to use it. You can also pass.
I would agree that any tax or increases would have to be voted by the public.
I also was on the council when we lost one levy and then gained another levy. And the idea that public safety is important in Normandy Park is not unique. I think every community faces that challenge. We have an excellent, relatively new police chief, and he has formed a very responsive force of police officers that is less than what we had previously. And we have very good coverage, and I support taxes anytime to support our police department.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much. And thank you for respecting the bell and our time that we have. A couple more rapid fires here. Oh, they're stuck. Oh, so again, another tax question. So probably be pretty similar, but instead of just for public safety, do you support raising taxes and fees to help make up for budget deficits? And do you support the regional entity that was established between Seattle and King County to address homelessness? Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Everybody have a chair, pick a chair. Chair. All right. Who wants to go first? Perfect. All right. So remember, introduce yourself. I'm going to give you the microphone here. Introduce yourself, the position, your number you're running for, and then answer your question.
Muhammad Ali Igal, I'm running SeaTac City Council, position number 7. Yeah, well, my icebreaker is that if you were traveling on desert island and could only bring one thing, what you would bring? Out fire? Matches?
My name is Damiana Merriweather, and I am a first-time candidate running for position number 3, City Council, and a small business owner. So, as I've listened to these questions get repeated, my answer basically to all of them is Lizzo. So, this one is, if I was a superhero, Lizzo.
Good evening. My name is Tukwila Gobana. I am working parent candidate. I'm running for SeaTac City Council position number 5.
You need another hand.
Let's see here. Right. Well, my icebreaker question is, if you were trapped in a CityCon, what CityCon would it be? Well, I would say break the rule, my house. My name is Peter Kwan, and I am running for re-election for SeaTac City Council Position 3. And my question is, what is your favorite children's story? I have a lot of favorites, but I would say one of my all-time favorites is The Little Prince. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Stan Toombs. I'm going to be running to retain my position as number 5 at SeaTac City Council. What is our favorite children's story? And I'm going to say Hansel and Gretel.
I'm Erin Sitterly. I'm running for re-election, position 7 in SeaTac. Let's see what I get. Oh my gosh, I got the same one. What is your favorite children's story? So I would say any of the books, or all of the books, written by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Not only were they great stories, but you learned how to do stuff.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, so much for that. It's a pleasure just getting to know you a little bit better. And now for our rapid fire. So everybody have their paddles out. Perfect. Really trying to mix these up because a lot of them seem to be repeats here. Okay, this is a long one. The line between true crime and nuisance behavior or disorder is often blurred in public perception. Do you principally agree with the broken window theory that essentially indicates that when a problem goes unattended in a given environment, it can impact attitudes toward that environment and lead to more problems? Do you support raising taxes and fees to help raise money to support more police and other public safety services? Perfect. All right. Do you think your current city policy does enough to support small business? If your city does not currently have staff or policy to support small business, do you support allocating city resources to create a policy to do that, assuming resources are available?
So that was a two-part question.
It's a two-part question. So let's do, so this is, again, general for all of our cities. So some cities don't have economic development departments, so that's why it's, so we know the city of SeaTac does have an economic development department. So maybe we leave that last part of the question, off because we know that you do have current staff and policy, and just ask, do you think your current city policy does enough to support small business? Perfect. And so we've got some no's and we've got some yeses, so this seems like it might be a good drill down. So 30 seconds, whoever wants to go first. Perfect, thank you.
Well, I believe that City of SeaTac, currently City of SeaTac is not doing enough to support for small business owners. As you know, that there was a lot of gentrification and a lot of displacement for immigrant business owners in Bacaramore. So instead of working with the community and the business owners, the city should, I believe, the city could be able to do better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and we're at time.
Okay, good.
Perfect. And we can just pass the mic on down if everybody's okay with that, and we'll reset the clock for 30 seconds, and I see a head nod, and you're good to go. Thank you.
As a small business owner, this is actually a big part of what I talk to voters about every day. My perspective is that the focus of our current council is far too focused on large-scale development in service of the port and related industries, and not nearly enough in support of locally based small and medium-sized business that actually serve our community. And that's actually one of the reasons that I'm running. And on time, perfect, thank you.
This is very important question to me. Former small business owners, my entire family owns small different businesses. Here in SeaTac, we do have currently economic development office, but they primarily focus on bigger corporations. I don't think that's what we very much should be focusing on. I should be focusing on bringing small businesses, creating a small business office here in SeaTac, making sure that we have small business here that create local jobs, that provide service for local residents, and make sure that we have working families continue to thrive here in SeaTac.
Thank you.
So the city of SeaTac has a very active economic development department and a lot of programs for large and small businesses to take advantage of. And one of the largest funding sources that comes from the hotels, the lodging tax, actually goes to free advertisement and support of local businesses. So the opportunities are there, and I think I said no, and the reason is because we could always do more. So
perfect, I'm on time. Thank you.
One of the things a lot of people don't realize in SeaTac is that we have a tremendous amount of home-based businesses, craftsmen, tradesmen that operate out of their homes as single-man or single-family operated businesses. In addition, we zone for our multifamily developments in the future. Many of them will be able to have ground floor commercial space to be able to have those small and medium-sized businesses.
This might be a surprise to a lot of people. The city of SeaTac has maintained a tax structure that does not include a business and occupation tax, and we also do not impose a utility tax. That, to me, is a big deal for business of any size. So that, combined with our very active economic development department, I think that makes us a good place for small business. Could we do more? Absolutely. But I think we're blazing some trails.
Okay, and we are at time. Perfect. Thank you all so much. Appreciate that. Really positive. All right, we still have time for 2 rapid fire questions. Quick. All right, everybody was quick to applause. Oh, do you think our local economy has improved over the last 2 years? And again, difficult yes or no question from our membership. So do you support the basic underlying principles of a capitalist society, i.e. free market and private ownership? That would be yes. Or do you believe that there are better forms of ownership or structural models our society should consider? That would maybe be a no. But again, that's a difficult one. Perfect.
Should be.
So perfect. All right, perfect. Thank you all so much. That was the last one. Perfect.
My name is Nancy Manos, and I'm running for Tukwila City Council position 2. What is your favorite children's story? The lyrics.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Johnson, and I'm running for Tukwila City Council position number 4. If you were a superhero, what superhero would you be? I would be Captain Marvel. I don't know if you guys saw that movie, but I loved it. Woman power.
Oh.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Martinez. I'm running for the vacant position, number 4. And my question was, what was your favorite children's novel?
Or story.
Or story. It's going to be Cat in the Hat. My grandchildren loved it and still do.
Hello, my name is Tosh Sharp. I'm running for City Council position number 6. Let's get it going. Come on, ice cream. The question is what is your theme song? I'll just go with Rocky's Eye of the Tiger.
Hi,
Kathy Hilgardy. I'm running for re-election for position 2. And here comes my question. It is, what is your favorite children's story? That was really hard. So I'm just going to go with Make Room for Ducklings because I love the illustrations.
Hi, I'm Kate Preller. I'm running for re-election to Tukwila City Council, position 6. Long one with small type. Superhero question. I do Suri from Panther. She's a strong woman. It's a story of equity with gender and race, and she definitely is somebody for justice.
Thank you all so much. And now to our rapid fire. Paddles ready? Everybody got your paddle already? Mixing these up. Do you support that, yes, the state of Washington should maintain affirmative action as passed with Initiative 1000 this last spring? Or no, do you think that it should be repealed? Current state minimum wage is $12 an hour. Do you support a higher minimum wage in your city? All right, we got some mixed results here, so maybe this is a good drill down, 30 seconds. Who wants to go first to explain your answer? Okay, I'll start over here.
Hi, I'm not sure with the state minimum wage where it's at. It's the best in the country. And I checked, it's brought us back on par with the minimum wage 50 years ago. So that's really important. What I do think is that it's sad that we've had to try to legislate this at local levels. I think this actually belongs at a much higher level. And I think people need to have sustainable living wages. So I believe in them. I just don't think we should be legislating at the municipal level. It's just too fractured.
Paddle for microphone. Anybody want to?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
Okay,
I'll talk about it. So we've run the numbers recently in one of the economic development meetings that I was at, and a living wage in Tukwila is $21 an hour. That's what you need in order to be able to rent a one-bedroom apartment in Tukwila. So we're really talking about a minimum wage, not a living wage. And so, and also we have a lot of different kinds of businesses, so I'm not sure that this would be the best thing for Tukwila, but a good thing for Tukwila will be to give everybody a hand up so that they can have better wages.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, what I believe is that when you work in a town or a city, your wage, you should be able to afford to live there. And even though it's the bottom, the minimum wage, it pushes all the wages up, so folks who have a pretty decent job can still afford to live in Tukwila at some point. Most people who live in Tukwila for any length of time at some point can't afford to stay in their homes if they had to move. So I'm supporting minimum wage is the way I go.
Perfect.
And I said no. The reason is because 46 or 43% of our community is immigrant community. The majority of the voters in Tukwila are senior citizens, so they're all on fixed income. I know that coming from a retired union job, I have bona fide pensions. I firmly believe that our city can increase the minimum wages just by passing ordinances or providing ordinances for prevailing wage jobs in the public works projects that we have going on.
Oh, we're at time, sorry. Thank you.
So I was in support, and I know that this is a hard decision, and Tukwila has been a place that's very friendly to business, and I'm hoping to keep it that way. So it wouldn't be something that would be made without the input from our local businesses. But I also think it's important that people be able to have a livable wage, and in order to address issues like affordable housing, we also have to look at things like what is our minimum wage, and can people afford to live and work in the area that they live.
Right, perfect, thank you.
So I said yes to raising it to $15 an hour. It's a global, effort to bring the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. It puts a priority on the actual people who are making the operations run. And so while it may seem like it's a jump, and there was a lot of controversy going on in Seattle when it went up to $15 an hour, amazingly, all of those businesses are still in business.
Okay, perfect. That was just right on time. Thank you so much. I think we have time for one more rapid fire question here. Do you support raising taxes and fees to help make up for budget deficits? And somebody help me out, is that 4 questions they've answered? Do they need one more question for the rapid fire? One more question. This one just jumped out of the bowl. Do you think zoning code should be flexible? All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Tukwila City Council candidates. So I do have special questions for the port candidates. So they will be different than the questions we've been asking the candidates for City Council, and that is simply because there are different jurisdictional privileges that you have for the port. And so I am going to first start here with Commissioner Feldman. And same icebreaker questions, though. So there's the same 7 questions in there. Choose.
I'm Fred Feldman, one of your incumbent commissioners, position 5. All right. If you were a superhero, what superhero would you be? Aquaman.
Good evening. My name is Sam Cho, and I'm your candidate for Port of Seattle position 2. Oh man, what is your theme song? I like, my go-to is Bon Jovi's It's My Life.
Hi, I'm Grant Danger, candidate for Port of Seattle position 2. And the musical question that I am asked to answer. Oh, I love this. If I had my own talk show, I could use my talk show voice.
Use your talk show voice.
If I had my own talk show, who would your first guest be? Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
All right, I will take the microphone. I might be bringing it back. Perfect. All right, now we are getting into some rapid fire questions for the port, especially chosen for you. Get my glasses back on here. The type is a little perfect. All right. Do you believe our region needs a secondary commercial airport? Next one. Do you believe SeaTac Airport generates economic benefits for South King County communities?
That was a hard one.
Do you support efforts to develop a second commercial airport to meet our region's future air, passenger, and cargo demand? Do you support the port's sustainable airport master plan to meet future demand at SeaTac? All right.
Yes.
This is a good drill down question. Okay, perfect. We will drill down on this one. Some answers to be had. Whoever would like to go first, maybe we can give you 30 seconds. Perfect. Thank you.
So we have a lot to do at the airport, but and there's a lot of good information and good things in the plan. There are some things that are missing. One is how we sequence this work, and 2, if we're going to be an exceptional and the best and most environmentally sustainable airport in the world, we also need to have world-class mitigation for the communities around the airport.
I think the port is trying to answer the question of how do we facilitate the growth that's happening in King County. But what's missing from the plan is how are we going to work with the cities surrounding the airport to make sure that we're doing it in a way that is responsible and helps improve the quality of life. And that's not included in the plan. It's how are we going to improve the quality of life for the people who are living around the airport, who are affected disproportionately by the airport. And so that's what I want to see added to the SAMP. How do we improve the quality of life if we're going to do this?
So the SAMP is just started, the scoping comments were just received. You have not seen a draft environmental impact statement, so we really don't know what the SAMP is proposing just yet. And the goal here is to be responsive to the public comment. I've been chairing the Highline Forum since my incumbency 4 years ago. I've been more than acutely aware of the community's concerns and have been trying our best to identify ways in which to mitigate those impacts. But this is the process that's just really begun.
Okay, and we are at time. Thank you. Perfect. All right, some more rapid fire here. Ooh. Do you believe SeaTac Airport should continue to grow to meet future demands?
No choice.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so we've got some waffling here then too. So we have time. Let's drill down here. 30 seconds. Whoever wants to start. Perfect. Thank you.
I actually was responsible for getting the port to explicitly support a second regional airport. In the meantime, we don't have a choice but to accommodate the growth that's coming in. You cannot do that overnight. I am particularly championing the idea of making sure that our military airports are able to be included in the regional study, which the state legislature didn't do, because I believe we can get air cargo to JBLM and take care of some of the night flight noise concerns in this immediate community and share the benefits and the impacts.
Look, the reality is with King County growing at 5% every year, it's just impossible for SeaTac to accommodate that growth. So the question is a little, it's not specific enough. The reality is that no matter what we do as an airport, we cannot keep up. That's why we're talking about a second airport. That's why we talk about JBLM and Olympia. So the question is, what do we do on top of SeaTac? Not can SeaTac keep up with growth? No, it can't. It's just impossible.
So one of the issues we have to deal with is the fact that SeaTac hasn't kept up for years. And right now, anybody trying to get in and get out of SeaTac has difficulties. It's not working for the current traveling public, let alone the public that we're going to be expecting in the next 10 years. But we have to figure out a better way of addressing those issues and how we sequence work at SeaTac, how and what work and what decisions we make about elements of the sustainable plan are going to be crucial. The next commission is going to be dealing with that, and I'm looking forward to working on it with the communities around the airport.
And we're at time. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. That concludes our rapid fire and our drill down. And so how about a round of applause for our bar?